What's up, friends? Welcome to the 2-6 podcast with Luke and Adrian. On this podcast, we focus on Web3 and achieving your personal potential. Today, we're unraveling the wild world of community coins with a special focus on the COQ coin and its impact on the Avalanche blockchain. We'll explore the playful side of crypto, discussing how community coins, also known as meme coins, can be more than just internet jokes, but also have real-world applications and communities driving their value. As with all of our episodes, none of what you hear today is to be considered financial advice. This is purely for entertainment and educational purposes. With that all said, let's get to it.
Welcome to the 2-6 podcast with me, Adrian, and Luke. We are here to talk about Web3 and achieving your personal potential. And we are live. Coming on in. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I love that I can make you laugh, dude. I love that I can make you laugh.
So listeners,
today,
we may or may not be on our first take. I will just share that information.
I shoot for perfection. And sometimes something good comes out. It just depends. So today we're actually going to be talking about meme coins. Luke, do you want to explain what a meme coin is? You are a meme.
Yeah, I did definitely so. And it might be helpful just to kind of talk about different kinds of coins in general. So a meme coin is a type of coin, depending on the blockchain that it's in. It'll usually have a number that goes along with it, like ERC20 is a common type of coin that exists on Ethereum. Avalanche has their own, other ones have their own. So a meme coin is basically a coin that sits on a blockchain. There are some exceptions to that. Dogecoin is like the original or the OG meme coin that actually has its own blockchain, but most other ones are not. And they're usually kind of created out of the community or things like that as a fun thing that kind of sprouts out. And as you might imagine, given the name, memes have a lot to do with it. And so we're going to dig into that a little bit more. But that's overall what a meme coin is. One of the things that you might be thinking, well, what's different about a meme coin versus like a native token for a blockchain? So like we're talking about Avalanche, AVAX is the native token there. One of the things to kind of think about with those is that those are the coin that kind of powers the network. So if in theory, like there's other speculation that happens with coins in general, but in theory, if you hold some AVAX, you are holding the potential for future computing power on the Avalanche blockchain, because at its core, AVAX is spent on gas fees. And so like in theory, you're holding it because you think that future computing value on the Avalanche blockchain is going to be worth more than it is today. Now, we know there's always speculators or people that just trade it like it's a stock because they think it's going to go up or down, whatever it's going to do. But in theory, that's what you would be using it for. So the people that are using the computing power on the blockchain pay for it in AVAX. People that are providing the computing power on the blockchain are receiving AVAX, both in the form of, block rewards, but then also with the gas fees that they're paid as well. So that's kind of the difference between the two. So there's the native token and then there's the other ones, some of which are meme coins.
Nice. Well explained, Luke. And I would add to that a little bit, so I think one of the biggest questions generally is does a meme coin even have a purpose? And the development of a meme coin tends to be a little bit more off of a joke. It's going to be something that's typically a little bit funny that can kind of drive some hype to the actual coin itself. But I think, what we've been kind of talking in social, mainly on X, through something like the Botcast, where they're talking about the meme coin, the new leading meme coin on Avalanche, which is COQ. I know it sounds a little extreme, but the meme coin COQ in U, the community is really, it is, COQ is based, to give you a little background, COQ is a community generated coin that is off of chicken.farm or chicken.nft. It's not a part of it. It's totally separate from the NFT project, but it was introduced and kind of built around from the community and community members to be the meme coin of Avalanche. And it's became exactly that. Now, I think the difference between like what Luke was saying with traditional coins and meme coins, traditional coins generally have a little bit more utility. They have somewhat of a purpose, and meme coins, with most of them, they lack a lot of the potential of utility. And I think what a lot of the hype right now around COQ or COQ and you is the fact that the community is really trying to build utility around that coin in itself on Avalanche. I'm not going to go too deep into subnets, but they're thinking of the COQ chain and building a subnet where the utility, or I'm sorry, the gas token is going to be COQ. So
Yep.
I think that's one of the biggest things right now going on around chicken and also within crypto is some of these, what some people would say are very volatile and speculative meme coins. There's a lot of high volatility, a lot of buying, a lot of selling, mainly driven by social media hype and some just fun jokes and what people might seem to be funny. So I think some of the I would say, should we talk a little bit about some of the cons of some of these meme coins is kind of the longevity or the credibility of some of these coins. I think sometimes the issue that sometimes arises with them is that a lot of them don't have any type of utility and they're strictly just a coin. There may not be any purpose for it if it's not on its own little blockchain or have anything that's tied into it. It could simply just be a coin that people are buying for whatever reason because they like the joke. So I think what's really cool though right now with some of the chicken community members is that they're really trying to build that utility or some utility off of that coin, which will in turn make it a little bit more valuable because it does have a purpose and it does have utility.
Yep. Yeah, a couple things I think would be good to just share in terms of background. So listeners, if this is your first time hearing about the COQ coin that Adrian's talking about, it might be helpful to let you know kind of how it all came about, and like especially the name, because you're like, okay, what are these guys saying? Why are they saying COQ 1,000 times on this podcast? And so really, obviously, like as he was talking about, you might have gathered that this came from the chicken community. A COQ is a bird within the chicken family, and so it's named after that. The founders of it, Gribbly and Wojak, and we'll link their X handles in the show notes as well. They actually came up with the idea while they were at the Avalanche Summit in Barcelona this past year, and then it kind of evolved from there into what it is. You also probably heard Adrian saying "cock in you," and you might be like, "Why is he saying that? Is this an inappropriate thing that we're saying?" So there's another meme coin out there that's a very popular one. It's called Shiba Inu, which is a type of dog, but the folks that were coming up with it thought it would be funny, since obviously we're going to name the coin COQ after the chickens. What if we took the second half of the Shiba Inu coin and put it there, and then it would be even funnier. And so that's kind of how that name came about. And like Adrian was talking about, a lot of times what the meme coins are, it's about fun. It's about the community. And as you can imagine, if you're thinking about funny memes out there are a billion things that you can say that are hilarious. And then after time, it gains traction on social media and people just kind of like it. Like even Joe Rogan, even the other day, was on his show talking about like how much he's enjoying the memes related to this coin. So that's just kind of how they can kind of go viral and people can get really aware of them and just have fun with it.
You know, this reminds me of, Luke, because I would totally like to see. Have you seen Dumb Money?
No.
Okay, so Dumb Money, I want to say it's on Netflix right now, but Dumb Money is all based off of GameStop and the GameStop craze or the short squeeze that was on there. And I can only imagine if somebody were actually in front of Congress talking about COQ. I could only imagine. It's almost like farting in church, dude. I feel like it's going to be one of those things that if it ever comes up, I'm really curious what they might actually call it. But anyway, I just had that thought I would share it. But anyway, so Luke, what do you think, man? Like you're always a little bit better explaining like blockchain technology, and how do you feel like a meme coin can get involved with its own chain or blockchain, and what kind of exposure, what kind of utility do you think can come out of it?
Yeah, so I think for most of them, I think it's just all about goofing off and fun. So like one of the things that certain other meme coins have kind of taken off, and I think it was kind of one of the original ideas when folks were coming up with the COQ coin, is it would be fun to use it as a way of like tipping. So you have this coin that's not necessarily, quote unquote, worth anything. But if somebody does something cool, you give them some, and it's just kind of a reward, kind of like when you can tip in like Reddit or that kind of thing. I know Reddit's a popular place for that kind of stuff. So it's just, that's the idea behind it, is it would be something like that. And it's just kind of fun play money that you can use for that. And after a while, when people, want some of that play money, then it starts to have some value and you can actually trade it and that kind of thing. So I think that's one of the big things that kind of can cause it to have some value. So I think that's where a lot of meme coins kind of stay within that category. But there's also one of the things that I think is so cool about this particular coin is folks are starting to build stuff around it. So, creating an ecosystem around a coin can really start to give it, actual, like, more value than just that kind of speculation or that fun. It can do other things. So the team behind COQ actually put together a hackathon. So from January 1st to the 15th, there was a hackathon where anybody that is a builder in the space can build something that creates some value. And people came up with games, they came up with tipping mechanisms. There's all kinds of things that they came up with. And so as you start to have stuff that you can use these coins with, then it kind of goes to a different level of, hey, this is, this thing can get some traction behind just the fun and the memes. There might actually be some things that, you use with it. So I think that's one of them. But and we'll talk a little bit about kind of subnets and that kind of thing. But like, have you seen anything, Adrian, that you kind of liked in terms of, things that have been built or stuff with the hackathon or just anything in the space with it so far?
No, I haven't, man. But I know there was a lot of entries, so I think it's really kind of exciting to see, for one, that a lot of people are interested in building stuff around it. I think what a lot of people are also noticing is that COQ also has a pretty big market cap. And I mean, and anybody who doesn't know what a market cap is, basically it just means simply what the price of the coin is divided by the circulating supply. So the circulating supply is essentially anything that's already out there. And I think what's great about COQ as a meme coin is the fact that it was all based on a fair launch, meaning that the owners or the creators of the coin didn't keep anything for themselves. They're not charging any type of percentage or any type of, say, commission or a trading fee in any sort. And then they also burned all the Avalanche that they put up themselves and all the supply of COQ, and they put it into a burn wallet. So nobody has access to it. It is what we would call totally decentralized. And I think that's what probably makes it so great, is that nobody can mint more of it. It's only going to be 69 million. It might be $60 million, 69 million in change. No, I think it's 69 even.
I think it's 69,420, I think is what it is.
Yeah. Either way, 69 trillion. Okay. So there's always these like lots of decimal numbers. It's like a fraction of a penny. But I think that's what really makes it. I mean, like, say today, we're at a market cap of 82 million. I want to say at the peak, right around the peak, it was about 150 million. Now, a lot of things come into play with that, with, like, say, the cost of Avalanche and how many people are actually buying it versus selling it. But it's pretty impressive that even the liquidity, again, kind of a big thing to follow, but liquidity in general helps people enter and exit any type of cryptocurrency. It's basically a whole large pool of the coin itself, plus that native token, which in this case is Avalanche. But you have these two coins that act as what do you call it, Luke? Is it a market maker or just a market in general? So you have a pool. You're not waiting for somebody else to sell so you can buy, but you're basically buying and selling out of that pool. And it kind of basically allows people to trade large volumes of coins or a smaller margin. It just depends on what they want to do. But the liquidity, even right now, is at 2.3 million, and that's all locked, which means nobody has access to it. Like I said, you can't increase the supply. It's totally untouchable, which I think is cool. And that's, I think, what makes it so popular is that you can build any type of, say, game, you can build some type of, I'm going to say project or protocol. Luke always gives me shit because I always say protocol.
You haven't said it in like a year. It's been like you say it now, like joking, but like it's been like a good year and a half since you like legit said it differently.
Because I didn't know what the hell I was talking about back then. I was just trying to figure it all out, and I didn't give a shit. I went on to space and I didn't care, even with my face smiling because that's my PFP. But anyway, it's just amazing. I think what makes it so great is the community behind it, and I want to say a lot of us guys and gals that are in this project are all about it. We're all about chicken. We're all about the meme coin with COQ because it's kind of evolving from the same community. So I think what really makes a meme coin successful is the community in itself and who's backing it and who are the creators that created it. Because there's a lot of what's the best term? Not impersonators, but basically just people that are not genuine, that are just trying to make
they were copying it, or they would say they forked it, which those listeners that may not know. So fork usually, and when it comes to a blockchain, means that people couldn't agree on the next direction for like their consensus mechanism, which is like the way that it operates. And so they'll break into two pieces. So like it's happened a few times within the Bitcoin network where the network kind of splits in half and becomes other things. So that's like truly what a fork is. People also use it in the space when it means that you just copy their smart contract and make your own. And they call it forking in that case too, but it's basically copying.
Exactly. Always well explained, Luke. What else?
And we'll probably talk about decentralized finance in a future episode in more detail, but there's essentially kind of two main ways of enabling trades in a exchange. So one of them is an automated market maker, which a lot of the exchanges now use. It's more of like an algorithmic thing where it'll determine what happens to the price based on that algorithm. And then there's also an order book, which is the main other style where you kind of do need like people that are willing to trade at certain amounts to dictate kind of where the price will go. But just thought I'd throw that one in there too. So one thing I did want to talk about though, since we're talking about forking is, Adrian, as you mentioned, like there's a lot of other meme coins that have kind of sprung up around the same time. I think COQ was one of the earlier ones in recent times in Avalanche that came out, but it kind of, because of the way that it took off, there were a lot of people or a lot of projects that wanted to kind of catch that wave and have something similar happen to them. And I think in a lot of cases they didn't. And I think it might be good to just talk a little bit about kind of what goes into some success there. And obviously we're not necessarily experts. We've never launched a coin ourselves, but we are, observers of the space, participants in the space as well. And one of the things I think is really critical is your launch has to go off without a hitch. That's one of the big ones because there's been a couple where I thought had really good potential. They launched and they had some glitch in their smart contract and they just completely flopped. Either they never took off in the first place, or even worse, they skyrocketed and tumbled right back down. And like there was one that I put $200 worth of AVAX into it. And about 4 hours later, I had about 50 cents worth of AVAX. And it was all because there was a glitch in the way their contract was written.
And that's the hardest part, I think. And not only with launching a coin, well, it is also in launching a coin, but truly, I think with crypto in general, you generally don't know who is behind the release of a coin. And anybody can basically release a coin. There are literally, there could be on all blockchains, there could be hundreds of launches of coins per hour. And say even on the Avalanche network, I mean, dude, you can go to the what was launched in the last 24 hours, and there's a huge list. So I think, and a lot of them are bullshit. I mean, truly, they're just junk. And there are some, depending on the type of wallet you use, sometimes it'll have like an analyzer of the coin to see, is the owner not known, but I mean, do they know who the owner is? Are they how much did they keep for themselves? Again, all those transaction fees. I mean, there's a list. Honeypot is a big one. Honeypot's just basically a big honeypot that other people, like Winnie the Pooh is what I always think of. He's scooping out of the honey and giving no honey to anybody. And they're just keeping it and nobody can get anything out. It just keeps scraping the honey out of it, putting the bees to work. But anyway, it's one of those things to where I think what the main thing with like COQ is that, for one, there's a huge community behind chicken. We know the founders, which Gribbly and Wojak, and I want to say Bitmaker was also part of that initial contribution of the Avalanche to start it. But that was one of the things, and they were, Wojak and Gribbly have been in that chicken community for so long. We've been on numerous X spaces throughout the years, and even in Barcelona, I think that's where actually was created, or the idea was actually brought up, was creating a meme coin based off of chicken, and that was COQ. And then they were thinking about some names and said, how about INU? Kind of like what Luke was saying. And it just kind of flew, and it came throughout the entire community. And then, of course, you get something as powerful as social media on X, and people start making these memes and these jokes. And dude, it just went like wildfire. And I think one of the main things too is that it went off without a hitch. And the owners, again, it was a fair launch, basically meaning that there was no insider coins that the developers were keeping, or the fees. So it was truly just free for all. It means the developers that launched it were able to buy it on the same platform, the same way as everybody else. Nobody had any inside anything. And I think with the strength of the community, and even the developers, and a lot of even developers of some of the major projects in Avalanche were also jumping into it, and it just kind of like took off. And I'll say, I thought, I was like, oh, cool, man, I made $1,000. I'm sweet. I sold everything, and then totally having some FOMO that I was like, oh my God, this is going to be huge. Why did I get out? And I got back in, and thank God I got back in, because it just went bonkers from there. And I think, that's why I have to say, though, the one biggest thing with meme coins is they are very, very volatile. You have to be very, very careful. Like, seriously, if you're buying anything that's like, say, a meme coin or something that with very little to no utility, you strictly should be using. And if you lose it, it's just like, well, that was fun. And move on. I mean, by no means should you be going and extending and buying margin or borrowing and getting into it, because it can wipe you out just as fast as it goes up.
Yeah, I think that's a true kind of way of handling things for anything related to, crypto or NFTs or anything in this space, but especially when it comes to meme coins. Just make sure that, like, if you would be devastated that you lost the money, then you should not be putting any of that into a meme coin. So not as we said at the beginning of the episode, nothing we say here is financial advice, but this specific piece
absolutely
is financial advice. Do not invest more than you are comfortable losing all of it. And that's the end of the financial advice. Everything else we're going is not financial advice.
I just like the coin.
Right.
You gotta watch it, Luke. You gotta watch it. It's good.
Right.
But I mean, I think that, truly you just have to look at it as it's fun. And of course, people are having a lot more fun as it's going up, or if it's mooning. It's a great time. It's a great time with community members. It's a great thing to talk about. It's the jokes that kind of go around it. And I know a lot of us guys that have wives or girlfriends, we start talking about it, and it's like, it's kind of crazy. You're like, why do you keep saying cock? I mean, the kids are upstairs. But anyway, it kind of goes around. Cock is a chicken, or rooster, I should say. And it was just an ultimate perfect place, perfect time, perfect people, putting it together and getting it out there. Wojak just happens to be one of those guys that is just, I would call him a meme coin specialist. And he just saw the opportunity. And then with Gribbly's smarts, the mother brain is what I would call him, he absolutely just put a lot of that together, and they both made it happen. And here we are. I mean, this thing could definitely be huge as long as the community members still go into actually doing the COQ chain, which man, I think with the Avalanche community and a lot of the developers that are a part of it, I think it could be a great thing. Granted, do your own research. Don't listen to me. I just like the coin.
Right. Yeah. So that's probably a good segue into talking a little bit more about kind of what a subnet is and kind of what that COQ chain is would be about, could be about, that kind of thing. So for those that are maybe newer to the Avalanche ecosystem, one of the things that's really cool about the Avalanche blockchain is that you are able to create what are called subnets, and subnets are kind of like their own blockchain inside the Avalanche blockchain. There's a whole lot more detail we can get into about how it kind of rolls up to the blockchain, that kind of thing, on ramps, off ramps. But just think of it as a way to kind of create your own blockchain. And you can do that if you have a certain number of AVAX in a validator node. So it's usually 2,000 AVAX that you have to put in. If you do that, then you're also enabled to have your own subnet, which is basically like your own little blockchain. And one of the things that's cool about having a subnet like that is that you can determine kind of the gas token for that. So if you remember earlier in the episode, we were talking about, okay, well, AVAX is kind of the gas token for the Avalanche blockchain. It's what you need to power it. And the value of that AVAX is, in theory, related to the computing power of it. Well, let's say you created your own subnet that was focused on the COQ token. Well, you could decide that COQ is what powers that subnet. And you would spend COQ in turn to do things on the subnet. So you could kind of create your own thing, which is a cool use for it, because then you can have, like all these things that kind of were built through the hackathon, other things people make eventually later on, you can really offer just a lot of value to it. And that kind of elevates the coin to a place where it's the meme coin element of it is still fun. Like you can still create lots of funny memes and stuff, but it's also a gas token. And so it has, that defined utility of it powers the actions that you do on the subnet, which I think is just brilliant. And I'm really hoping that does come to fruition.
I think it will, man. I think it will. I mean, a lot of these conversations are happening, and I think that's what a lot of the reasons why these big dogs are jumping on to Avalanche subnets like AWS or Amazon Web Services, Alibaba. There's some big financial institutions that are jumping on board, but it's mainly because of those subnets, and they can basically make their own subnet or blockchain using the Avalanche network, but on their own little chains.
All right, bro. Well, I think that's probably a good place to wrap up. A couple of things that I think would be good for folks that are interested in learning more about meme coins, or just more about this particular one that we've been talking about. So we are obviously, very excited about it, and, participate in the ecosystem ourselves. But we're by no means the actual experts. A couple of folks that we would like to point you to if you want to learn more about it. You can follow them on X. You can also join some spaces to learn more about it. So probably, number one, going to the source. So if you go to at COQ Inu AVAX on X, or if you go to Gribbly_Fire or Wojak Satoshi, and don't worry about the spellings on those, we will have those in the show notes. Those are going to be really good places to kind of learn more about what's happening in the space. If you want to hear people talking about it and like people with all these great ideas, Clint is a legend in the space with the Botcast that he hosts. He does a nightly space focused on all things chicken, COQ, AVAX, all of those kinds of things. Really would encourage you to check him out. It's a good place if you want to get on stage and ask questions. You can, or you can just absorb the genius of all the people talking on the space, like we often do. That's another good way to learn about that. But Adrian, anything else that you'd suggest for folks that want to learn more about this, or kind of dig anything else?
Yeah, no, I would just say get involved, man. I have to say, one of the best ways of actually meeting people, believe it or not, man, is just getting on X, getting on Twitter, aka X, whatever you want to call it, and interacting with people on there. It's amazing the people that Luke and I actually meet, and we are able to have not necessarily deep in conversations, but you can, get up there as a speaker and ask these questions, have these conversations. And it's just a good way of getting to intermingle with people in something that you're interested in. I have to say, man, I haven't been a huge social media guy, but dude, I have to say, man, I'm in on X, dude. I've been meeting some phenomenal people. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, for sure. And then and also like we gave you some names of folks that are really, in this space, but obviously we'd love to chat with you ourselves too. So, reach out to me or to Adrian on X. So I'm at Luke152. Adrian is at Realtor Adrian. You can also reach out to us on the 26 handle. But yeah, we'd love to chat with you, either drop something in the show notes or just reach out to us directly. And we always love to chat about this stuff. So feel free to do that as well.
Right, man.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate you. If you did enjoy today's episode, we'd love for you to like, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And with that, we will talk to y'all soon. Thanks, guys.
26.